The Supreme Court clears the way for a major immigration rollback. A would-be assassin is sentenced, and the best small towns in America are revealed. Plus, Prince William opens up like never before, and new polling shows America's trust in the media has fallen to an all-time low. And here's today's trivia. Are pumpkins a fruit or a vegetable? It's Sunday, October 5th, and this is the Flyover Podcast. Welcome to the Flyover Podcast, taking you above the noise for an unbiased, high-altitude view of today's headlines with daily coverage that's honest and refreshing. Let's cruise the news and land the facts. Hello, I'm Amy Hess, your weekend host, and before we dive in, just a quick note. If you ever want to see the links to our stories or vote in the daily poll, you can find everything right there in the show notes. If you're listening to Apple Podcasts, it's pretty easy. Once you've selected the episode, everything's listed right below. For Spotify or YouTube, you'll want to click the bold word "more" by the title or description. It's usually on the right-hand side. That'll expand the section and show you all the links, polls, and notes from today's episode. On YouTube, you may need to click more once again to get all the goodies we have in there. All right, let's jump into today's top stories and get ready for takeoff. Our top story this Sunday, the Supreme Court on Friday allowed the Trump administration to move forward with its plan to revoke temporary legal protection for nearly 300,000 Venezuelan migrants in the United States. In their latest emergency order, the High Court temporarily blocked a lower court ruling from September that said the administration wrongly ended an 18-month extension of temporary protected status for the migrants. Over the summer, the Trump administration also won emergency appeals on immigration, research grants, and federal layoffs. The Supreme Court will convene Monday for its new term with cases on conversion therapy, redistricting, gun rights, and transgender athletes. In other Supreme Court news, a California man who tried to assassinate Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh in 2022 has been sentenced to 8 years and 1 month in federal prison, along with a lifetime of supervised release. The sentence imposed by a Biden-appointed federal judge fell well short of the 30 years to life requested by federal prosecutors. The Justice Department says it will appeal the ruling. As part of his guilty plea, Nicholas Roski admitted to flying from Los Angeles to Dulles with a firearm and ammunition before Deputy U.S. Marshals saw him getting out of a taxi outside Kavanaugh's home. In explaining her decision, the judge said she doubted Roski would have gone through with the attack after seeing the marshals stationed outside the residence. Carmel, Indiana was ranked the best small town in the United States, according to a new study by Wallet Hub. The survey compared more than 1,300 U.S. cities with populations between 25,000 and 100,000, based on key indicators of livability, including affordability, economics, education and health, quality of life, and safety. Carmel, an Indianapolis suburb, has one of the lowest unemployment rates in the country, a median annual household income near $135,000, and the 11th lowest shares of adults in fair or poor health. Rounding out the top 5 are Brookfield, Wisconsin, Apex, North Carolina, Lexington, Massachusetts, and Westfield, Indiana. Want to see where cities in your state land? We've got the full rankings linked in the show notes. Now, here are some extra stories just for you, our podcast listeners. You won't find these in the email. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are in Cairo this weekend for high-level talks with Israeli and Hamas representatives. The goal? To wind down the nearly 2-year war in Gaza, starting with an agreement to release all remaining hostages. According to a White House official, Israel has temporarily scaled back its bombing to give the peace discussions a chance. President Trump, posting on Truth Social, urged Hamas to act quickly or face consequences. The delegation is working to finalize the details of a phased ceasefire and the first stage of a broader peace framework, with regional mediators monitoring progress. And on a much different note, Prince William is opening up like never before. In a rare episode of The Reluctant Traveler with Eugene Levy on Apple TV+, the 43-year-old heir gives a rare, deeply personal look into royal life. He speaks candidly about Princess Kate's battle with cancer, confirming she's now in remission, and about his children's resilience through what he calls the hardest year of his life. William reflects on grief, fatherhood, and his vow not to repeat the mistakes of past generations. Looking ahead, he says his reign will focus on change for good, balancing royal tradition with a modern family-first approach. And finally, a new study says Florida and Nevada are tied for first place as the states most likely to marry for money. The report by the divorce coaching app Split Up gave both states a gold digger score of 8.24 out of 10. Researchers looked at millionaire density, income levels, cost of living, and even online searches for phrases like, quote, sugar daddy and, quote, marry rich. Experts say it's not surprising, especially in cities like Miami and Las Vegas, where transactional dating cultures are common. Rounding out the top 5 were Texas, California, and New York, while Maine, Wyoming, Montana, Nebraska, and Vermont ranked lowest on the list. I have to tell you, I've been drinking Native Hydrate for a while now, and my whole family has gotten hooked on it. I just finished my variety pack, and this right here is the last one. I figured I'd mix it up on camera before it disappears. I started thinking about tangerine as being maybe my favorite, but then berry started to sneak up on me, and now this peach mango, it is definitely my favorite. But it also happens to be one of my kids' favorites too. So let's just say in our house, the scarcity mindset has been real. All right, I'm going to give this a little mix up here. Most of us know hydration is essential to just about every function in the body, but 75% of Americans still don't drink enough fluids every day. And as we age, it gets even harder to stay hydrated. That's why I love Native Hydrate. It's not just another drink mix. It's clean, it's sugar-free, and it's loaded with electrolytes, branched-chain amino acids, and all 9 essential amino acids to support hydration, energy, and muscle health. Unlike some hydration mixes that can pack in 1,000 milligrams of sodium, Native Hydrate has just 230, perfect for everyday use. It tastes great, only 5 calories, and they even offer a 365-day money-back guarantee. So if you want to give your body the hydration it needs, visit nativehydrate.com/flyover. That's nativehydrate.com/flyover. And try it risk-free. We've also got it linked in the show notes. Trust me, once you taste it, you'll understand why my family keeps raiding my stash. Still to come on the Flyover, whatever happened to our brand new section, the poll, and your trivia. But first, here's finance. Now let's check the markets and a few of today's top business headlines. BMW is recalling more than 145,000 vehicles in the U.S. because of a starter defect that could overheat and spark a fire. The recall affects select 2019 through 2025 models across 6 different vehicle lines. We've got it linked in today's show notes for more information on the recall. Cracker Barrel is ending its partnership with consulting firm Profit after backlash over the company's decision to drop its classic logo, the one featuring an elderly man leaning on a barrel. And Spirit Airlines plans to dramatically scale back operations, shrinking its 214 aircraft fleet by nearly half and exiting more than a dozen U.S. markets as part of its bankruptcy restructuring plan. Here's how the markets finished up for the week. It was an up week across the board. The Nasdaq rose 0.78%, the S&P 500 gained 0.81%, and the Dow climbed 0.98%. Bitcoin jumped 9.05%, and gold rose 3.36% to close at $3,880 an ounce. Time to check the scoreboard, and there's plenty happening across the leagues. The NFL returns today with several teams on their first bye week, but matchups between last year's playoff contenders, including the Los Angeles Chargers and the Washington Commodores, headline the slate. Over in the WNBA, the Las Vegas Aces rallied for an 89-86 win in Game 1 of the finals on Friday, fueled by Dana Evans's clutch three-point shooting, including a decisive late fourth-quarter shot. And in Major League Baseball, a viral video is making the rounds showing San Diego Padres players and coaches berating home plate umpire DJ Rayburn as he exited the field after the team's 3-1 loss to the Chicago Cubs. Want to see the tense exchange? We have it linked, but there is an explicit language warning on that clip. Now it's time for one of my favorite parts of our Sunday show, Whatever Happened To. Each week, we take a look back at something that used to be everywhere, then suddenly disappeared. And today, we're heading back to the 90s for a taste of nostalgia and a little country music flair with Whatever Happened To Kenny Rogers Roasters. In the early 1990s, country legend Kenny Rogers teamed up with former KFC executive John Y. Brown Jr. to launch a wood-fired rotisserie chicken chain aimed at more healthy fast food. The vibe was bright, casual, and family-friendly. It took off fast, topping 350 locations worldwide by the mid-90s, and even got a shout-out on Seinfeld. But the flame quickly burned out. By the late 90s, competition from Boston Market and the rise of supermarket rotisserie chickens squeezed margins. Add overexpansion, lawsuits, rising costs, and a brand that struggled to stand out in a crowded fast casual field, and the numbers stopped working. In 1998, Kenny Rogers Roasters filed for bankruptcy, and the U.S. stores faded out. But the name didn't disappear. The brand lives on mainly in Asia with surprising staying power in Malaysia and the Philippines. Were you a Kenny Rogers Roaster fan back in the day? Let me know in the comment section. If only he'd partnered with Dolly again, right? She seems to have the magic touch. Great. Now I'm going to have Islands in the Stream stuck in my head all day. Let's hit some rapid-fire headlines before we land today's episode. Virginia Attorney General candidate Jay Jones is apologizing after leaked 2022 text messages showed him saying former House Speaker Todd Gilbert, quote, deserved 2 bullets to the head. In Japan, the ruling party has elected Shinei Takaichi as its new leader, positioning the conservative lawmaker to become the country's first female prime minister. A Russian drone strike on a railway station in Shastka, Ukraine, injured at least 30 people, including passengers and train staff, according to President Zelensky. And a new Gallup poll shows America's trust in mainstream media has dropped to a record low, with just 28% saying they have confidence in news outlets to report fully, accurately, and fairly. And honestly, this is exactly why the Flyover exists and why it's been so successful. We're here to give you straightforward, balanced news without the noise. Time to check out today's poll position. Yesterday we asked, what's your approach to trying new restaurants? 30% said they like to be adventurous. 25% read reviews first. 19% ask friends. 14% stick with their favorites. And 12% said they'd rather just stay home. I've got to say, I'm with the majority here. I love trying new foods. I definitely also like researching them. I especially like to explore different ethnic dishes, and I'm definitely a fan of spicy. Here's today's question. What do you do with unmated socks? Do you keep them, throw them away, or find another use for them? I'll be honest, I tend to keep them. I know I'll probably lose another one soon and end up with a match even if they don't technically match. The only time I toss them is if there's like a hole in it or something like that. I'll see how you answer in tomorrow's show, and Ayla will have the results for you. Cast your vote in today's poll. You'll find it linked right there in the show notes. And I told you how to find it. All right, time for today's trivia question. Do you remember what it was? Are pumpkins a fruit or a vegetable? If you guessed fruit, you're right. Even though we usually treat pumpkins like vegetables, roasting them, mashing them, or turning them into soups, botanically speaking, any plant that develops from a flower is considered a fruit. If you've ever grown pumpkins, you've probably seen those bright yellow or orange blossoms that come first. And here's the giveaway. They've got seeds inside. That puts them in the same category as tomatoes, cucumbers, squash, peppers, and even avocados. So yes, pumpkins are technically fruits, even if they still feel right at home in your favorite fall comfort foods. And with that, we're coming in for a landing. Be sure to catch up on all the good stories from this week. If you missed the new Feel Good Friday that came out just 2 days ago, it's a good one. You can also check out our 9 state editions for news a little closer to home. Ayla will be right back with you for your weekday news, and I'll see you back here on the weekend. Thanks for flying with us.